realized that he was going to end that entire franchise's existence. I hate to say that. That's bad.
Oh, man, that's tough. Unbelievable shot. And it's big time that he signed an extension, is committed to Portland. Big time move.
That's huge right there. And looking at him and CJ, they have their work cut out. If you look at all the duos in the Western Conference, you have the Lakers with LeBron and the Brow. Then you have Paul George and Kawhi. There's so much competition in the West.
Denver, Utah, Houston. The West is going to be fun.
Oh, man, the Wild Wild West. Shouts out to Kumo D. Also, shouts out to Roscoe Parrish, my kinfolk. It's your birthday, man. Celebrate. I'm Ro Parrish, Wes Wilcox. It's game time. We got to go. Thank you for watching. What's good? You're now rocking with the best. You could be anywhere else in the world, but you're here with us. We appreciate that. Ro Parrish and our executive extraordinaire, Wes Wilcox. A lot to get into in this edition of Game Time, including a new champion being crowned in the Summer League. But in the meantime, we got to go to the city of brotherly love. They're very happy there.
Ben Simmons, they got him locked down. Now, it was originally reported at the beginning of the month that Ben Simmons, the extension came to be, but now it is official. Both teams, the Sixers and him, agreed to a max deal, 5 years, $170 million, going to the Aussie lefty, the 2017-18 Rookie of the Year, made his first All-Star game, and led Philly to the playoffs in his first 2 seasons. Now, this team, eventually, they lost to the eventual champion on the road in Game 7, on a buzzer beater. So they're very close to being contenders in the Eastern Conference. But looking at this, and to the casual fan, I'll pose this question. You still have a player that's on his rookie deal, and he'll be a restricted free agent next season. Why would the Sixers give him this contract right now? Because it completely takes him off the board. If he was a restricted free agent next summer, he could sign a 1-year qualifying offer. That qualifying offer would make him an unrestricted free agent the following year. So now it's also important to note, no player, when offered the max, has ever turned down the max and signed the qualifying offer, but it is absolutely a risk that the Philadelphia 76ers were not going to take.
So again, with the casual fan, I look on the screen and I see 4 players that have separate $100 million contracts. What does this tell you, number one, about what Philly's trying to do? And are they really serious right now, giving 4 players that much money?
Yeah, they are committed to win, and they are showing it by the money that they are committing. When you add up Embiid, Horford, Harris, and Simmons, not this year, but next season, 2021, when the extension for Simmons kicks in, they have $120 million wrapped up in those 4 players.
Ooh.
Add in Richardson, it's $131 million on a tax line of $142 million. So they are committed to building the best possible team we have seen in Philly since, well before really the AI era.
Oh, man, show me the money. So let's put the Sixers on hold. Now let's go to the Western Conference. Now, reports are Rockets owner Tillman Fertitta has been fined $25,000 for talking about Russell Westbrook before the trade became official. Now, Rockets head coach Mike D'Antoni also talked about Westbrook on the Woj podcast about how he plans coaching the new star duo.
First of all, if the superstars want to play together, then they will make it work. And all we got to do as an organization, or myself as a coach, look at the tendencies and see how we can maximize their talents. And it might be different from different people. And we will look at that, and I'll start looking now at tape and trying to figure out the dynamics between the two and how they played at Oklahoma City and how it's changed since there, the Olympics. But it's exciting whenever you have great talent. It's exciting because it gives you a chance to win.
Now, since these two have been reunited, the conversation has been related to what you see on the screen, touches per game, and also things like usage and can these two former MVPs coexist on the floor with one ball. Mike D'Antoni, he definitely has his work cut out for him. But you're looking at this. How does this duo, who once played together successfully in OKC, how did they come to Houston and make this work on the floor?
Well, usually when you have 2 players like this who both need the ball, the simplest solution is to play fast. This is what Miami did back in 2010
with Wade and LeBron. They sped it up, they defended, and they got out and ran. What's interesting, though, in this situation, last season, Houston was 27th in pace. So I'm not sure these two line up.
So we saw that Chris Paul had a very large contract. Number one, and this goes away from what we're talking about here, obviously, but we're talking about basketball, so I might as well bring it up. How shocked were you to see that Chris Paul contract moved?
People were surprised because you had a 34-year-old with 3 years left and a number starting at $38 million. But this trade was really about, this is Houston's perspective. They trade a 34-year-old with 3 years left on the deal for a 30-year-old with the same number but 4 years left on that deal, the only difference being the player option of $47 million for Westbrook. So this trade was one of those that made sense, really probably for both teams. It's just going to be really fascinating to see the fit.
I can't wait to see that. I'm anxious to see what Houston does on the floor. Now, continuing in the Western Conference, former Finals MVP Andre Iguodala, he was sent packing by the Warriors to the Grizzlies. Now, he's been rumored to be on the short list of the Western Conference contenders, one of them being the Houston Rockets, who we just talked about, and the Clippers. They both have a strong interest in having this man's services. So aside from basketball, which team has the more realistic shot financially of gaining his services?
Yeah, Houston has the easier road to Iguodala right now because they can just take P.J. Tucker, add some non-guaranteed money, which they have on their books, and that's a quick trade. They got to send out about $12.2 million to take back the $17.2 million contract of Iguodala. The Clippers are going to take a little bit more time. You would think they would use Harkless as a building block. They got to add some salary to that, but they can't do that for another 60 days or so. So if the deal was going to get done early, it would be probably Houston, but then you got to start talking about, are you willing to give up P.J. Tucker, who's a very good player, with 2 years left on his deal at about $8 million.
And he's James Harden's best friend, so I don't know if he would like that if he got moved. But just real quick before we move on, which fit would be better for him on the court as far as Andre goes?
Oh, it's hard because you can see a player like Andre fitting in everywhere. When you go to Houston, you think, man, they need shooting. They need more shooting. Andre Iguodala has been a guy that's always made big shots, but he's not just a standstill, knock-it-down jump shooter. So you would think that the Clippers might make a little bit more sense from a basketball perspective, even though they're going to have a harder time getting a deal done from a mechanical.
Can't wait to see what happens with that. Now, there's been a lot of chatter once the sign and trade deal was executed between the Warriors, who Andre used to play for, and the Nets, where they swapped Kevin Durant for D'Angelo Russell. Now, many began speculating that Russell would stay in the Bay and would only be temporary, and he could be used as trade bait later on down the line. Listen, Warriors GM Bob Myers, he addressed all of that right here.
I know it's been written and speculated, and that's fine. That's what everybody's job is to do. We didn't sign him with the intention of just trading him. We haven't even seen him play in our uniform yet, and a lot of people have us already trading him. That's not how we're viewing it. Let's just see what we have. Let's see what he is. Let's see how he fits.
The former number 2 overall pick for the Lakers went east. Now he's coming back west to play with Golden State. We know that he's been an all-star, carried Brooklyn last year, led them to the playoffs, but he's more of an ISO player. We know Golden State likes to move the ball, get it in a lot of different hands. Looking at this fit, how does it work in Golden State?
Well, it's interesting. It's similar to the Houston conversation we just had because pace of play is going to be critical here. D'Angelo's great in transition. Golden State loves to play fast. That's where the easiest basketball fit will be had.
I'm very interested to see. Of course, we know Clay is going to be hurt. He's already hurt. He's going to be out for the majority of the season. But once those 3 bodies are healthy on the floor, you have that type of offensive firepower. How deadly can they be? We know the Western Conference is tough already, but those 3 players with their shooting and scoring ability on the floor, how deadly can they be?
Oh, they're going to be really good. They have the ability to shoot, the ability to make plays. They're all unselfish. And it'll be interesting because we're probably going to see a different version of D'Angelo because Golden State's emphasis in the half court with so much talent around him, where, he really didn't have that in Brooklyn, especially after the injury to Karis LeVert. So this is going to be a great run at. They get 3 shots at this transaction. 1, they maximize Kevin Durant, who they were going to lose for nothing. They turn it into a sign and trade. 2, there's a chance it works. And this team, they have a 23-year-old all-star to run with them in the future. And if it doesn't work, yes, then at that point, they will look to trade him. And now you have a very good player on a reasonable contract, the smallest max contract, and they'll move him for some other piece that helps their team.
Once again, Golden State always has options. They know exactly what to do. They find themselves in the winning position a lot. Well, this year's edition of the